The northeastern state of Nigeria is a former administrative division in Nigeria. It was created on the 27th of May 1967 out of the then northern region. Its first capital was Maiduguri. The region was first divided into Bauchi, Borno, and Gongola states. On the 3rd of February 1976, Gombe State was later split out of Bauchi, Yobe out of Borno State, while the defunct Gongola State was divided into Taraba and Adamawa State. With a vast landmass, the region was the agriculture and food hub of the country, with farm produce emanating from the region transported to all parts of the country. Today, the northeast of Nigeria is made up of 6 states of Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba, and Yobe, and is one of the 6 regions of Nigeria. The last 10 years has been quite turbulent for the region due to the devastating insurgency that has ravaged a larger part of the zone. The deadly Boko Haram conflict that has left tens of thousands dead also left in its wake the largest humanitarian crisis ever witnessed in the country since the Nigerian Civil War. From wanton destruction of properties to displacement of thousands, as well as destruction of livelihood of the people, indeed, the Boko Haram debacle has made the living as much of casualties as the dead. The multitude of internally displaced persons (IDPs) created by the insurgency and the attendant humanitarian catastrophe surely requires a large scale of effort in helping the people pick up the pieces of their lives. Thus, the commencement of FADAMA 3 Additional Finance 2 in July 2016 was like heaven sent.
Initially, everything about FADAMA is agriculture. Now, AF2 came on board. It came with its own developmental objectives that we need to immediately support these people that have been displaced from their own motherland to other different places. And how do you support them? Agriculturally. You see, we give them inputs. The only part that says, okay, it is a departure to what FADAMA knows is food assistance. You have to feed them first. Because a hungry man coming from Borno being displaced to Bauchi State, what would you expect him to do if you give him seed? He will clean the seeds and eat.
I'm from Madagali. Since our arrival, FADAMA has helped us with a lot of things like rice, beans, oil, seasoning, wheat, sugar, accommodation, and grains.
The project, which was designed to support the Northeast food security and livelihood activities of the internally displaced persons (IDPs), seeks to respond to the urgent food and livelihood needs of the families that have been affected by the conflict. The project had 2 major objectives guiding its actual implementation, which are to respond to the urgent food and livelihood needs of the families whose lives has been devastated as a result of insurgency in the Northeast, to enhance the development effectiveness of the project by aligning it closely with the new policy of the government of Nigeria to arrest the dwindling food situation in the affected region. For an effective delivery on the project, the 6 states were divided into 2 categories, whereas Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states were categorized into the core states based on the magnitude of devastation visited on them by the insurgency. The remaining 3 states of Bauchi, Gombe, and Taraba were categorized as a non-core or buffer states. For Borno State, which was the epicenter of the conflict, with virtually all parts of the state affected by the crisis, the birthing of the project in the state was indeed very timely.
When we started the FADAMA 3 Additional Finance 2, almost only 8 local governments are under the government of Nigeria. The others are under the Boko Haram or the above. So we are lucky. The military are going in and we are going there for assistance. Sincerely speaking, we assist about 166 communities. When we were on board, they are in the IDP camps, but later they are about to return, and this our intervention is there for returnees.
The Borno State FADAMA 3 AF2 is working in 24 out of the 27 local government areas of the state, with the attendant positive impact on the 2 million IDPs in the state and their host communities. Food shortage was one of the major drawbacks of the conflict, since most of the victims were not only made to flee their abode empty-handed, they were equally unable to access their farms due to the insecurity. Thus, the food assistance component of the project, which was to cushion the immediate effects, was the first lifeline that 8,240 households received. They gave us food and seedling for planting.
The livestock.
FADAMA helped me with livestock and food such as rice, beans and maize, and 3 sheep, and they have given birth to 4 rams. The distribution, which followed a meticulous selection process in line with laid-down process stipulated by the project, was highly appreciated by the beneficiaries.
Mun gode wa 'yan fadama sun ba mu keke gashi muna amfani da shi mun ga albarkatu iri.
I thank FADAMA for giving me the sewing machine that I am working with now. It's with the sewing machine I learned how to sew clothes. Now I have customers patronizing me. From the money I get, I maintain the machine and myself. I give all thanks to FADAMA. May God bless and uplift them always.
They
really helped us. They gave us hope and food. Now I've eaten a lot and I've become fat. Thank God for FADAMA. May God bless them.
A unique element of the FADAMA 3AF2, which sets it apart from all other intervention by most of the other agencies in the region, was the deliberate attention paid to the restoration of the livelihood of the people. This is well exemplified by the various livelihood support packages offered the beneficiaries. 3,976 households in these affected communities received crop livelihood support. 4,129 households benefited from the livestock support, while 135 households received fisheries livelihood support. Rural infrastructure also received adequate attention in Borno State, with the provision of motorized boreholes, access roads, mini bridge, market stall and lock-up shops across 24 local government areas of the state. Training and extension services, as well as the Cash for Work program, known in the state as the FADAMA Youth Vanguard, accentuated the rekindling of hope that the entire project represents for a place that was once the epicenter of insurgency. Yobe State had a dual attribute of being a neighboring state to Borno State, as well as being only second to it in terms of devastating effect of insurgency. The FADAMA 3AF2 Coordination Office in Yobe State kick-started its implementation after proper enumeration due to the need to optimize the limited resources contained in the envelope.
Yobe happens to be one of the worst states that was hit by the insurgents, and a lot of damages, a lot of losses have been incurred, life, properties, and which run into millions, and of course the life is something that you can talk of value it.
Thus, the commencement of the food support component of the project was a real lifeline for both the IDPs and the returnees. Having regained enough strength due to the foodstuff provided across all the local government areas of the state where implementation was carried out, the farm supports, particularly the irrigation farming component, has been described as the right step towards the restoration of livelihood to the people. Malama Walu, a tomato farmer and returnee, sums this up.
A tallafin nan na FADAMA an bani na farko inji, na biyansa an bani shinkafa, an bani.
For this gesture, they gave me grinding machine, they gave me rice 1 bag, pesticide 1 liter, oil, maize, seasonings, sugar, and onion seedlings. When I planted it, I harvested 10 bags.
In furtherance of its quest to help the people restore their livelihood, a total of 5,220 households in 29 communities across 14 local government areas received livestock support in form of sheep or goats, which has been of tremendous assistance to the people.
I
don't have the strength to work like before, and I have a lot of kids to feed. So I decided to sell the goats to buy fridge, table water and soft drinks. I gave it to my kids to sell it in the market because beverages sellers are few around here. I thank FADAMA, may God bless them. They helped us a lot in terms of business. We used the money from our earnings to send our kids to school, and on our daily needs, I sold some of the sheep and bought goats. This sheep gave birth to this baby, and that one gave birth to this one.
Rural infrastructure also received a boost with the completion of projects in roads, water supply, processing centers, market stalls, and lock-up shops across the state.
During rainy season, we suffered a lot. During rainy season, we used to have a sleepless night because there are a lot of flooding from the river. And with the coming of the FADAMA intervention, it will go a long way and thank the effort of the FADAMA.
The example of the reconstruction of a bridge in Madamua Tagama in Bade local government area shows how a seemingly small intervention could affect a whole community. The people of the area had to pass through other communities in the adjoining state of Jigawa before connecting the next village in their local government due to the collapse of the bridge.
You know the value of the bridge which was constructed for us. And before this one was to be constructed, we have been having a suffer of transporting our farm products from there to there.
Adamawa State is the third state ravaged by the insurgency, with 7 out of its 21 local government areas directly under the siege of insurgents, with the remaining 14 local governments receiving the inflow from the areas. The implementation of the project was in line with the operational guidelines laid out for the states. Thus, the impact of the food and livelihood support had greatly reduced some of the burden.
Everything that has to do with agric is in the villages, and apart from most of the access roads provided by FADAMA, I don't think we have a lot of such roads to boast with, except those that FADAMA built for us. And you see, it's not just those direct beneficiaries. Even indirectly, farmers have been able to benefit from such projects.
These are people that have been affected by the unfortunate insurgency. They have lost a lot, both life and resources. So the strategy and the scope of this intervention is to look at the overall areas, be it the infrastructure, be it the inputs of agricultural activities, be it the knowledge base, and this intervention has touched almost all.
The scope of intervention had greatly assisted the beneficiaries to regain their livelihood either in the agriculture or non-agriculture enterprise. One of the uniqueness of the implementation in Adamawa State is the inclusion of 3 livelihood restoration centers in the rural infrastructure projects carried out in the state.
I am very pleased to FADAMA for their help. They gave us fertilizer, rice seedlings, and a lot of other things. We are very happy for their help. Now we go to farm stomach full. We will wait for our harvest. Thank you once more, FADAMA.
Bauchi State is one of the 3 buffer states that have witnessed an influx of IDPs occasioned by the insurgency. Thus, the Northeast Food Security and Livelihood Emergency Support Project in the state was executed in such a way that it helped greatly in reintegrating the people into their host communities. As obtainable in other implementing states, the circuit provided by the food support was further complemented by both farm and livestock support across the 20 local government areas.
First, they gave us foodstuffs like rice, beans, groundnut oil, seasons and salt before they brought noodles machine, chicken and eggs for poultry business. They gave us poultry feeds. I received 52 chicks and reared them. 45 survived and laid more eggs. However, due to December cold, I sold all the birds and continue selling only eggs, the proceeds that I used to buy land. I thank FADAMA and the federal government for their support.
When I was assisted with some chicks from the FADAMA, before the time I was assisted with these chickens, I had nothing. But by the time I got this assistance from FADAMA, my life has changed.
Since I left Goza to this place, I have never received such care. Before, I have to struggle to feed my family. But since FADAMA started feeding us, things have been easy. They invited us and gave us foodstuffs like rice, sugar, oil, beans, maize, grinding machine and domestic animals. I sold some of the ram and bought land here to live with my kids.
The inclusion of the host communities in the project through completion of 151 rural infrastructure projects in all selected communities in the state generated a lot of commendation from the people.
That infrastructure support is not meant for the IDPs, but the people hosting the IDPs. What do we do with these people? Let's find a way to at least make them believe that, okay, what they've done in the past by housing these people, into bringing these people into their communities, it is not going to be time wasting or just energy wasting into that they've done.
Each and every development that will be made at the very level, it's either I will be there or my representative will be there. And if you see the kind of enthusiasm exhibited by the beneficiaries, you will know that their lives have been touched. And not only the IDPs, especially the host community.
Cash for work, training and capacity building, as well as the provision of non-farming tools like sewing or grinding machines, underscore the determination of FADAMA 3AF2 to restore the livelihood of the people instead of giving just handouts. That the lives of 3,600 direct beneficiaries of food assistance, farm and non-farm livelihood support in 11 local government areas of Gombe State has been greatly enhanced by the intervention is not in doubt, as attested to by the people themselves.
I know FADAMA. They have helped me a lot. They gave us fertilizer, maize, groundnut oil, beans, rice, sprayers, grinding machine, sewing machine and water. We have never seen a group like FADAMA. They are really caring. Before, we had nothing until they came to our aid. From grinding for people, we get money to cater for ourselves. It's by God's grace we get here and settled in this community. FADAMA invited us and gave us foodstuffs like rice, maize, seasons, palm oil, and they later brought animals. I still have the sheep they gave me, including the new baby they gave birth to. That's when I knew I wasn't forsaken. Even though I lost everyone, FADAMA remembered me.
These IDPs that's spread in all the 11 local governments areas of the state. In the first instance, we gather over 30,000 IDPs, and the packages that delivered to them include food assistance, crop production, which is their means of livelihood before they leave their villages, and livestock.
Duk wanda sana'an da ka sani kana yi a can kauyen ku inda ka gudu, to shi zaka zaba. Kowa ya zaba yadda ransa yake so.
They asked us for our former businesses before the insurgency, and everyone chose what they wanted. Now we are buying land from the support they gave us. They gave us layers and broilers, sewing machines. Some IDPs got clippers for barbing.
Injin na aski, suma suna ta aski.
Sai nan da muka zo sai aka nuna min tumaki guda hudu. Rago daya.
From Yola, they brought 1 ram and 2 sheep. Thank God, I'm grateful for the gesture. This one you see here is pregnant and it will give birth in a few weeks. Similarly, the 54 small-scale rural infrastructure projects capture in the wallet in the state has really assisted many of the communities to overcome some of their existential challenges, from construction of market stores to lock-up shops, motorized boreholes, as well as the opening of many access roads. Each of the community is ever grateful, as exemplified by rehabilitation of Sabon Kaura Earth Dam in Pindiga Ward of Gombe State.
I feel very much delighted because it is during my regime that this thing has been done to this community people, because they have stayed for donkey years without getting this infrastructure here. Likewise, this dam, before it was a very small, it's just like a pond, but this time we have got this expansion of this dam.
Taraba State, among the 6 states of the Northeast, had the unpleasant task of catering for IDPs and returnees, occasioned by both the insurgency and the farmers-herders clashes in the area. Hence, the Northeast livelihood support was a huge relief in dealing with this challenge.
The AF2 Northeast Livelihood in Taraba State, under the FADAMA implementation office here, has done well. I remember there were some farm inputs that were distributed in order to resettle these IDPs. And I also remember they distributed food items to those ones that can be able to feed themselves.
FADAMA 3AF2 assisted us in the aspect of assisting the IDPs. Before the coming of FADAMA 3AF2, the pressure is on us so much because of the refugees in this our area.
In Taraba, under FADAMA 3AF2, we spread across 15 local governments out of the 16 local governments. And out of the 15 local governments, we have 91 communities. And in other words, 3,640 households. So they were now, the intervention was given to both households of male and female.
Aside the rural infrastructure component of the project, which ensured multiple intervention in the 16 local government areas of the state, the Cash for Work initiative really assisted in getting some of the youth occupied. The food supports and the other livelihood components contributed in helping the people, particularly the returnees, to pick up the pieces of their lives. Training the people in necessary innovations that will improve the agricultural activities also gave a boost to the various enterprises that many of the returnees engaged in.
Before, I did not know the advantage of farming until I met FADAMA. I attended the FADAMA training. Now, me and my son sell seedlings. Thank you, FADAMA. I am a seedling farmer. I plant and sell seedlings. I rather farm than depend on any man. I will advise my fellow ladies to join me and let's farm because there is wealth in it.
The guidance, coordination, and supervision provided by the National FADAMA Office, as well as the robust relationship it enjoyed with the various state governments, particularly in the area of counterpart funding, were also pivotal to the success stories. Indeed, the vision behind FADAMA 3AF2 in giving emergency succor to the people of the Northeast in the aftermath of the insurgency, as well as safeguard the gains of the FADAMA 3 additional financing, has given hope to thousands of households in the region.